ain't no regular thing. Came for the ring, you know what I mean. I shoot my shot and it's clean. This for my city, yeah, this for my team. If you talking and talking me nice, I play with all of my life. You see my name in the lights, better get right, I'm champion. I'm a team. If you talking and talking me nice, I play with all of my life. You see my name in the lights, better get right, I'm champion.
What's up and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to YSN Live for this Thursday, the 13th of February. DJ Yokley, Anthony Hartwig. Anthony, you notice I said the 13th of February. That means tomorrow is Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Oh, boy. All you guys out there waiting to that last minute, it is your final warning. Get those chocolates. Get those roses. Get them out there for your loved ones. Anthony, you got the roses out there? You ready for Valentine's Day?
The handmade gifts too.
What are you making handmade?
No, there's like some people like the going out and this writing a card instead of getting one of the Hallmark ones that are pre-printed and
Are you doing that?
No, I'm not. But I don't have a Valentine, so.
Well, I would say I'll be your Valentine, but I think that will get real awkward real quick on this show. Real quick. So we're going to leave that be. We got a great show for you today. One of my favorite human beings in the world coming on, one of the best coaches. And I mean that with all sincerity. This guy will make you run through a wall to play for him, and his kids are showing you just exactly why. Back-to-back EOAC champion coach from Columbiana, Todd Johnson, will join us in just a few moments. And then we have the Curbstone coaches catching the curb. I always want to say kicking the curb. It's catching the curb with Bob Camardo will come up after that. But, we talked about some of these coaches we've had in the area and how we are blessed and fortunate. And Todd Johnson, absolutely one of those guys that fits that category. He's a Columbiana guy, wears it with pride. Naturally, to win a championship this year, I don't think was a surprise to him or anybody in Columbiana, but it was an uphill battle. And for them to win the back-to-back titles this year just shows what he's been able to do, not only in that gymnasium, but in the helping these kids in the classroom and getting them ready for life. A big fan. Can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah, and he'll talk about it too. This season's kind of been like a pleasant surprise almost because they lost so many seniors last year. You almost didn't really know what you had in the holster this year coming in. And well, they had some big weapons, right? They had some big offensive weapons to go to, and they're taking their time to shine.
Yeah, and he's a basketball guy through and through. We talked about that kind of in the pre-production meeting here, moments before the show. Love that because there's coaches that are there ultimately across the board. There's coaches and guys that are going to, be influencers in, the gymnasium, guys that just love the game. But the thing that I've talked to so many people around this area about Todd Johnson, what he means to the area in basketball, he loves these kids. He loves kids on different teams. He's a basketball junkie, a guy that just loves the game, can appreciate the game and can appreciate what other kids from other teams bring to the game. Ultimately, he wants to win, I think. But to be able to appreciate those kids, because sometimes you just get coaches that it's their team and nobody else, right? And there's a place and a time for that. But ultimately, to get a guy that appreciates the game as much as TJ does, it's an incredible feat. We're so lucky to have him. And by the way, he's backstage. So let's bring him out. Ladies and gentlemen, the head coach of the back-to-back EOAC champions and now sitting at 19-2. Ladies and gentlemen, Todd Johnson. What's up, Coach?
That is quite the introduction, man. That is one heck of an intro. You should be my hype guy. That is great. I appreciate all the kind words that you had to say about me, DJ and Anthony. I really do. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
It's well deserved. Thank you for everything that you've given back to the game of basketball here in our area, for everything that you continue to do. Not even with the Clippers. I mean, I know you do a lot of stuff outside with AAU and just getting these kids coached up, and you've raised the level of basketball. So let's start there. Since you took over,
Mhm.
How is the game of basketball in this area it's developed? We've seen it from our perspective, but for you as a coach, have you had an easier time, or has it been more challenging to take that next step in developing the game here in this area?
I mean, it's always going to be a challenge, especially when you have a lot of kids that are playing. Like you said, you alluded to AAU and to other things. So you have a lot of kids putting a lot of time and effort into the game of basketball. So it's continuing to grow to be a challenge, but it's an exciting one in the same breath, because I think basketball in our area continues to get better. Basketball has always kind of gotten a little bit of a negative connotation or a negative rap here in Northeast Ohio, because we're a football cradle. But basketball continues to get better, and you can see that by the amount of teams that continue to play better, and then the kids that continue to get better. So it's only continue to go up as kids and coaches both put the time and the effort to continue to grow the game.
As we narrow that question specifically to Columbiana over the years that you've been there with the program, how do you think the program has grown and gotten better and developed since you first took over?
I've always been a big believer in the youth and building blocks from there. So when we first took over 9 years ago, it was our youth program at Columbiana was a little bit of a struggle. So that was kind of where I wanted to start to begin with and build from that. And I'm happy to say here in year 9 for this year, I think we had close to 60 boys participate in grades 2 through 6, playing basketball and just getting a basketball in their hands. And that's where you really grow and develop the love of the game. And, a lot of credit goes to the youth coaches and to the parents that help coach, those youth kids develop the love of the game as they continue to grow up, because those are the kids that are ultimately going to be, hopefully playing high school basketball for me someday.
You and I talked about it in a recent interview after a game. You had obviously a successful year last year, but you lost a lot of seniors. You didn't know you knew what you had coming in, but you didn't know how you were going to get them to the finish line with a trophy in their hand. You do just that. Back-to-back EOAC champions. What was this year like for you, and what was it like for the players in developing them to be champions once again?
Well, like you said, we graduated a few kids, right? So we graduated, we had 8 seniors last year. We had a ton of experience, everything going out. So as a coach, after you celebrate last year's accomplishment, you ultimately, start looking towards the next year. And I knew I was going to have a good group of kids. I knew I was going to have a hardworking group of kids. I mean, they played at junior varsity. That group, I think they won 20 games. So, the mentality and mindset was there. And I knew they were hungry to prove themselves as well as a group. So I knew that I had coming in a good, hard-working group. Ultimately, you don't know what it's going to relate to at the varsity level, and playing that next hour up is always tougher. It is always tougher. But, I have a good group of kids that consistently, and not just in the games that you guys are seeing, but it's when nobody's there watching, at the practices, they're pushing each other. Iron is sharpening iron. They're always working to get better and working to push each other. So you always have a goal, and our goal always is, we have the banners behind the backboard, and it's always put a number up on the wall. We always, as a group, that's the first thing we state, is we always want to be able to put a number up on the wall. And as the season continued to go along, these kids continued to believe in themselves and believe that, they could put a number up on the wall, and ultimately, they were able to do so. And I'm just so happy for them, happy that their hard work paid off, and elated for the program to be able to do so.
It definitely wasn't an easy path to an EOC championship, Coach. You had to end up going on the road to Valley Christian with really the league on the line, and we all know how that game ended. Talk about the path to this EOAC championship and navigating it, and how it was to go through it and then finally get that win on the road in the fashion that you guys did it.
I mean, so everybody's going to point to that at Valley Christian, but we had a lot of games to get there to begin with. Going on the road and getting a varsity win is always difficult. So for us to be able to go on the road and essentially, we won every game in the EOAC on the road, which is a credit to these boys, to be able to do that. And then, you talk about, we had tough games: Southern, Wellsville, East Palestine, Lisbon, Latonia. Every team in the EOAC battled us, and then ultimately, with Valley as well, giving us that great game. And, for our boys to be able down at halftime, go and make some adjustments, come out in the fourth quarter, to be able to have the fourth quarter we have, and then set up the storybook, the shot and everything that everybody's going to remember is something as a coach I've never experienced. I don't think I've ever had a game winner, and especially of that. So that was definitely an experience on my end. But again, just so excited for the boys to be able to have that.
These moments obviously are fleeting, right? You think they're going to last forever. You try to encapsulate them however you can, through video, through pictures. And you guys have had some great follow this year through MV Sports, obviously, with their pictures and being able to chronicle that. And obviously here on YSN. For you, do you ever kind of take a step back during the season and try to kind of take in moments like you've had this year and in seasons past, and how do you do that?
So it's after every game, I got to decompress. I kind of, and anybody that's been to a game or watch us or whatever, I'm kind of all in. So after games, I like to go home and I like to decompress and just relax. And it's been great. Mahoning Valley Sports, YSN, Malutic as well. They've taken pictures, posts, everything. So the social media and the way it is around this area has been outstanding. And to be able to take back and go back and look and reflect at some of the pictures, some of the video stuff that is shared, it brings a smile to my face. So we had a particular moment there, against Valley, where after Seth hit the shot, he gets put on shoulders. And, kids are, putting him up and everything. And he's got the biggest smile across his face. And I'm not going to lie, I've looked at that picture a few times, and it just really, it brings a smile to my face to see the pride and just the happiness in our boys, after that shot.
When we're talking moments, Coach, do you think back on this season, are there any unsung moments that you think go under the radar that were kind of momentum driving or turning moments of the season for your guys?
I go back to a game at Southern Local. We were, first half we were playing well, and then second half they came out, they adjusted, they got into us, and I think we went down in the fourth quarter. And Luca Caglicio gets an open look, puts it on the rim, and buries it. So that one right there, that's a big moment that stands out. We come back the following night. Or the following day, actually, we had a day game. We had a day game against a good Springfield team. And we had to go and we had to battle them for 4 quarters. And then Carter Johnson hits a big shot there at the top of the key to, with a minute and a half left to put us up there. We talk about, big moments. Hunter DeVanzo, another one that just kind of jumps off there. He hustles, fourth quarter, dives on a loose ball, gets it at Valley, throws it up to Cooper, who's able to go and gets to the free throw line. So, there's big moments in every game. There's been big moments in every single game. And, we've had to battle every single game. So, those three kind of stand out in particular. But, I've had some other boys, Braden Clancy, he's brought big moment after big moment. The kid rebounds, defends, does well. Avery Young has come in, had some big moments as well, hit some big shots for us at the varsity level. So every possession, and these boys are fully understand that, starting to grasp that. Every single possession at the varsity level matters. It does. It really matters. It doesn't matter. You play 30 seconds, you play 30 minutes. Whatever you do in those moments help contribute to your team, and that's something the boys have grown of, and something we preach every day that they've really taken to.
The last 9 years have been a family affair in one capacity or another, but it's a little bit different nowadays. I mean, you mentioned the picture that you of Seth on shoulders, but there's a couple pictures of you, admiring those moments with your family, but also a little different whenever you got a Johnson on the team as well. Talk to me about what this has been like for you, being able to split those shifts and being dad and being coach at the same time.
That's been one of the, and I'm not going to lie, been a difficult part to do, right? You have to be dad, but you also have to be coach. So first and foremost, I've had a tremendous support, from my wife, for these past 9 years. She's been my biggest cheerleader, and also sometimes I get a press conference when I get home as well, questioning some things. So she knows the game of basketball, and I love it. My son Cohen, 4th grade, he's been at the games. He's been our ball boy. He's always been around the boys. Cora as well has been a junior cheerleader. She's always been there. She's the first one to come run up and hug me and everything like that. And then Carter, and then being able to coach him now, who's a sophomore. So it's been great. It's honestly, it's truly a blessing to be able to coach our kids and have our kids at the school I graduated from back in 2001 at Columbiana. So it's been truly a blessing to be able to coach at my alma mater and have my son coming through as well. And I've got to know when to turn off coach and when to turn on dad, and vice versa. And sometimes those lines can get blurred a little bit, but I try my best to be both and wear both hats.
Coach, you talk about coaching at your alma mater, and we said it in your intro, you're bleeding Columbiana through and through. You care about the Clippers more than probably a lot of people in that program. Talk about what it means to you to just keep representing the program that you graduated from, and to coach in the community that you graduated from, and what that really does mean to you, and now to see your own son be coming through that same program.
It's there's a lot of pride. There's a ton of pride in being a Clipper, and there's been such a great history of Columbiana basketball, going back to obviously the man on the wall, Richard Berryman, Coach Berryman, who's still in the stands, who still comes up and talks to me, and it's always been I have that pride, and I always want to convey to our boys, convey to our program that you play for the Clippers, you always play for the name on the front of the jersey, not the back. And I really do believe that we have a lot of boys that have come through our program, and especially in the last 9 years, that embody that Clipper spirit, that Clipper community. And it's like I said, it's been a blessing, and it's truly humbling that I get to coach at my alma mater, and that I get to have my son come through and play for us.
All right, last question from me. There's when people watch you on the sideline, there's an animation to it. There's an excitement to it. You never stop coaching. And I love that. How does it change now? You've got the regular season behind you. The awards are on their way, if not already delivered, with the EOAC championship. Now you've got to work about the postseason. This is what you play for. This is what you coach for. You want to take this team as far as you possibly can, make history with this team. How does your coaching style change? How does things change? Turn it up, turn it down, turn it sideways. How do things change for you?
Well, DJ, I don't know how to turn it down. I've never been one to just be able to turn it down. So we have a saying: the most important game is the next game. So our next game, most important game, is Friday. We play Matthews, very good basketball team, and we got to go to them. And the way they pressure and the way they play at home is going to be tough. It's going to be a tough contest for us. So we're not looking towards postseason. We're not looking towards anything like that. We don't rest on our laurels of what we've done. We celebrate them, and we talked about it yesterday, and we're proud of that accomplishment. But we have a saying, after the game at 12:01, when it hits that next day, we got to move on to the next game, and we got to get ready and get prepared. So we were doing that yesterday at practice, and like I said, I don't know how to turn it down. So practices are always, intense. Always want to get up. Always want to have the boys as prepared as best as we can. And thanks for saying that. I coach the whole time, and I really try to, because even it doesn't matter on the score. There's always moments that you can take away from, you can learn from, and that you can maybe put into the next game, into the next practice, and continue to get better as we move forward. So we're excited as heck about the opportunity tomorrow night to go up to Matthews and play a great basketball team that'll hopefully get us tournament ready. And I know it will get us tournament ready. I shouldn't say hopefully.
Coach, my last question for you, we all know the brackets come out before the regular season is over, and you're always a guy that is next game. How hard is it to, try to focus on strategically trying to put yourself in a good bracket spot, but also trying to keep yourself in that next game mindset and focus on the next task at hand when the regular season is still to be wrapped up?
Well, the boys earned a 2 seed in the district this year, so it gave us an opportunity. There was one section for a bye. So last year we had the opportunity to take a bye as well, and we chose not to. So in talking with the boys, and I had them in on our selection Sunday or whatever you want to call it, and I kind of talked to them as well because it's their team as well. So I wanted to get their buy-in and their take, and so we were able to take the bye that the boys earned and had the right to do so. So as we were sitting there waiting, we had 2 quality teams go in front of us. So we have Campbell Memorial and we have Southern Local as well that are going to play. So we have the opportunity after Friday. We'll have 10 days, and it's a long layoff, but we'll have 10 days to get prepared and ready for either team that's going to advance and move forward. So like I said, we're excited about tomorrow night. We're excited about going to Matthews and playing that game against a very good basketball team, and then after that game, we'll catch our breath and get ready and start working towards start of next week, getting ready for either Camel or Southern, and the opportunities and challenges they're going to bring. And, excited that our boys get another game at home as well. They get one more home game to play on their floor.
Love it. Coach, thank you so much for your time, for what you've done again for the game to lift it up around here. And certainly you're getting those accolades, man. We're proud of you. And, by the way, the #1 Atlanta Braves fan in the area.
Absolutely. Go Braves.
Jeez Louise.
I'm a Braves fan through and through.
Ladies and gentlemen, the hero, Todd Johnson. Thanks, TJ. Appreciate you, buddy.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
You got it. There he goes. I told you. Stud. Stallion. Great coach. A guy that I would love to play for, or would have loved to play for back in the day. Man, he's just fun, right? And kids want to play for him because he coaches as hard as they play. And they give each other energy like that, which is it's fun to watch. If you've ever seen a Columbiana game on a Friday night or a Tuesday night or whatever night they end up playing on, you've got to watch the way he coaches, because I think the kids appreciate that more than anybody, and he appreciates what he gets out of the kids playing for him. And obviously the program means a hell of a lot to him there in Columbiana. So thanks to Todd Johnson for popping in today. Ant, what did you think?
I think that's why what you're saying, that he coaches with 100% effort. That's why he gets 100% effort on the other end. When he's talking about guys diving on the floor, guys giving up their body to try to get a loose ball, you don't get that as a coach unless they know that you're bought in too. Why is a player going to go 100% and put his body on the line for you if he doesn't believe that you're 100% in for him as well? And one of the ways you prove that, of course, is the animated way you coach. It doesn't have to be exact. Like, there's not a cookie cutter way to coach. But there have to be ways that you as a coach can prove to your team that you're there for them. If you're not as animated as Coach Todd Johnson, that doesn't mean you're not going to be able to do that. But that's one of the ways that him personally can prove to his players that he's there for them, that he is 100% into this game just like they are.
Dude, he's lit. He is a.
There's a reason why we had him on that. There's a reason why we had him on that level up that we used to do. he was a fun mic up, wasn't he?
Yeah, if you ever want to check that out, that's a fun level up. I wish we could do that more. That was a really, really good one. I think it wasn't him. I had to bleep out some spots if I remember correctly. But no, there's something there in Columbiana. And he talked about the foundational side of it, building from 2nd grade to 6th grade. And getting kids into that program, 60 kids into that program. That's huge. That's huge because he knows what he's got coming down the pike. He knows what he has in the system. He knows if he's got to change things or if he can, they can, adjust to him. And that's the thing that people don't realize when you're talking about programs and coaches and players is there's a give and take to that, because you want a coach to be able to coach well. And sometimes he has to change the way he coaches or she coaches to the players that he or she has in a program. So, there's a lot of moving parts to a championship caliber team. And he said, one of the coolest quotes I'm going to take from that is, to win a varsity game is a challenge.
Yeah, on the road especially.
But to win 19 of them this year, looking for 20, which is an accolade all to itself, right? If you go in before and say, hey, you're going to win 20 games this season, that's a really successful season, no matter which way you cut it.
Yeah, and so far, I know they have one more road test ahead of them with Matthews on Friday, but so far, undefeated on the road too, and that's got to be something that he's so proud of, that they're able to go on these road tests and continue to show up on the road, because it's a lot harder than showing up at your home, where you have probably more fans. You're more comfortable. You're in your own locker room. You know the gym. You know the diameters. Some gyms are different. Some gyms are smaller than yours. Some gyms are bigger than yours. So to go on the road and get all the wins on the season, that's pretty impressive.
This first portion of the show brought to you by our friends at Greenwood Chevrolet. They go the extra mile for you. Thanks to Greg Greenwood, the entire team out at Greenwood Chevrolet, for allowing us to do this every day. It's so silly that you and I get to sit down every day and talk to people like Todd Johnson and talk to people like Bob Camardo and all these great people that lift up sports in our area. And it's all thanks to people like Greg Greenwood and Greenwood Chevrolet. So thank you, Greg, and the whole team out there for continuing to believe in what we do here at YSN. And we have a lot to talk about still, but we have the Bob Camardo Catching the Curb right here, right now on YSN. So we'll go ahead and kick that up, and we'll be back talking about more sports when we come back on the other side of Catching the Curb, brought to you by the Curbstone Coaches. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, another episode of Catching the Curb with Bob Camardo, brought to you by the Curbstone Coaches, and a lot of stuff coming up, and well, let's just get right to it. Ladies and gentlemen, this time we bring in the face of the place. Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Camardo.
Thank you. If I'm the face of anything, that's a problem. Trust me when I tell you.
It's been a minute. Usually once a month. We had to push this one back a little bit, a week. But I gave you another week to see some of these great people coming in and talking about what they do, why it's important, obviously, in the sports industry. You said Rob Schmidt yesterday.
Yeah.
That was always a great speaker, Mr. Schmidt.
Yes, he is. He's been doing YSU men's basketball for 27 years, 20-some years, something like that. And, of course, before that, he was at WRRO in Warren doing Warren Harding games. He's very, very good at what he does, and he was excellent yesterday.
When you kind of scale back a few weeks, you had Greg Brown, which I was bummed I couldn't make, who is, to me, one of the greatest communicators. I mean, the guy has started at the bottom. He was the Pirate Parrot, literally.
Yes, he was.
And then worked his way up, and now he's the voice of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was in Buffalo for a long time, so I'm sure you guys had some conversations about Buffalo and Pittsburgh, and unfortunately had to talk about the Pirates this year. My Pirates. I put the post out the other day that it's baseball season and the Pirates are already mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Did he have the same notion? I mean, was he sunny side up or what was it?
Well, the fact that he works for the team, he has to be somewhat optimistic. Sure. But he thinks that, the one thing that they have going for them is the young pitching with Skeens and Jones and some of those guys. And when you have pitching, you never know what could happen. He does believe that they're a little weak offensively right now. But I think they're in a division that is susceptible to somebody sneaking up on everybody, which could be them. So we'll see. I mean, but he drew over 50 people and passed out some hats, and a couple weeks before we had Jim Rosenhaus, the Guardians broadcaster, and Jim always brings a couple sets of tickets to auction off. And when we told Brown that, he felt compelled to do the same thing. So a couple people won sets of 4 tickets for a Pirates game this upcoming season.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, it really is when you think about it. I mean, there are two teams. I mean, baseball is a little bit different. You got Browns, you got Steelers in the fall, and they hate each other.
Right.
But then you've got the Guardians and the Pirates, and there's kind of a empathy, sympathy. You're cheering for your big brother, your little brother in that situation. Did you feel the same way? I mean,
oh yeah.
It feels like those commentators that you had, in those string of weeks, kind of have an appreciation not only for each other but for the teams they represent.
No question. I mean, Rosenhaus just sings the praises of Brown and vice versa. They're very good friends. The teams play each other during the season, so they get a chance to see each other. They're, I think they don't have spring training in the same state. The Guardians are out in Arizona, and the Pirates are down in Florida. But they seem to me to be pretty good friends and very complimentary of each other. And especially with Rosenhaus, because I know him a little better, but Greg Brown as well. For guys that are like VIP type people, for lack of a better phrase, you'll never meet nicer guys. Jim Rosenhaus is one of the nicest guys you will ever meet. He talks to me like he's known me all his life, and I really appreciate that.
I'm sure it's a thrill for everybody in attendance to kind of pick their brains a little bit. What were some of the standout questions that you can recall? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but what were some of the ones that you're like, wow, okay, that's a good spot, and how did each person react to it?
Well, with Brown, there's always people like, why doesn't the guy sell the team if he doesn't want to spend any money and that sort of thing. And he tiptoed around some of that stuff Greg did, which like I said, he has to. But he understands that, the people are a little frustrated and that there's a want and a desire for them to do well because obviously they have one of the most beautiful stadiums in the country.
Sure.
PNC Park is just gorgeous. And the people asked about the young pitching, and there were some rumors that Jared Jones was being dangled a little bit as trade bait this offseason. And I think that one of the reasons that is because they feel that his motion is a little violent and is maybe susceptible to injury. But those types of questions, and Greg Goulas, our media guy, he writes a story ahead of time and then leaves. So it kind of lets them open a drawer a little bit for what they can say. And Rosenhaus the same thing. He feels that they want to build on the success they had last year, and people were asking about why did you trade Josh Naylor? Why did you trade Jimenez? Those sorts of things. And again, it's they're trying to build for the future and yet stay relevant now. And that's a fine line that those guys walk because they don't have the resources that the Dodgers and Yankees and so forth have.
Was there a sense of optimism with the voices of each prospective team?
I would say yes. Probably more so with the Guardians, with Rosenhaus, than with Greg Brown. But, like you said, right now everybody's undefeated. So there's always hope that it'll be a good year. And when, like with the Pirates, when you have young pitching like they do, there's a chance that they sneak up on people.
Even better, you have great speakers already. We just talked about a couple of the ones over the past few weeks. What do we have coming up that you're really excited about? And certainly as we tiptoe towards that May 4th banquet that we're so excited about this year.
Well, before we do that,
Sure.
I want to go back to on the 27th of January, we had the new YSU baseball coach, Trevor Sharpie, and he brought a couple of his assistants with him and a player. And that's a guy that I just gotten to know a little bit in the last couple months, and he's someone that you're really rooting for because he's got a great outlook. He's got a couple of kids that came in to transfer, a pitcher from Kansas that is supposedly in the top 100 of the draft board this upcoming season, and so he thinks they have a chance to be decent, so we'll see. But I want to give a little shout out to him for the YSU baseball season. They actually start this weekend at Baylor, so hopefully they'll get off to a decent start. But going back to what you were saying, as far as upcoming speakers, next Monday the 17th, we have one of the YSU women's basketball legends and a current, from what I'm hearing, very, very highly thought of basketball official, school teacher Anne Marie Martin from the Cleveland area is going to come and talk to us. And then on February 24th, we've got YSU bowling coach Doug Kuberski. And Doug, again, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And as I mentioned to you before, they have a legitimate chance to win a national championship. That's how good they are.
Wow.
March 3rd, we've got the Youngstown Phantoms hockey head coach Ryan Ward coming. March 10th, Kevin Brogan, the general manager of Hollywood Gaming, and I have to ask him why the slot machines are so tight because they're killing me, I'll tell you. And then March 17th, we have a noted sports artist, Ray Simon, is going to come and talk about stuff that he's done in the sports world as far as art is concerned. That's something a little different. And then March 24th, we just signed up, for lack of a better phrase, the new YSU president, Bill Johnson, is going to come and speak to us on March 24th. So that ought to be interesting. We're going to try and keep politics out of it, just talk about where the college athletics is going, which some people are nervous about. The 31st of March, we'll have any winter high school state champions. Hopefully, we've got somebody that does something in that regard. And then on April 7th, we've got Joe DeRosa, noted NCAA and NBA official who's done NBA Finals and Final Fours, which is incredible. And he's a great guy. Always an interesting listen. The 14th of April, Doug Phillips, YSU football coach, will recap the spring football game, which is a couple days before. And then on April 21st, a guy that I had some classes with at YSU back in the 70s was a good baseball pitcher at the time and ended up being a general manager for several minor league baseball teams. And he's got some stories, some of which he can't even mention because they're a little crazy. But Rick Montine.
Oh, wow.
Is going to come and speak to us on April 21st, and he will be interesting to say the least. So we've got a really good cast of people upcoming.
And then it cranks up for May 4th, which is the banquet, which we always talk about for good reason. You can't miss it, folks. You can't miss it at all.
We're expecting a really good banquet this year. We've got a great group of inductees, which I'll list here in a second. But the banquet is Sunday, May 4th at Mr. Anthony's in Boardman, and I listen, as you could tell, I like to eat, and I have never had a bad meal at Mr. Anthony's. Their food is always good. The tickets are available by contacting our chairperson, Patty Shuley, at 330-207-8157. They're $60 per ticket. Our keynote speaker is former Oklahoma and Cleveland Browns running back Greg Pruitt, and Greg has been in contact with our banquet chairman, Tom Miller, and he's excited to come and talk to us. And as I said, the inductees are the inductees, it's a little bit YSU heavy this year, which I think is a good thing. We've got Brian Gorby, who's won 48 million Horizon League championships in track and field and cross country. We've got Steve Leslie, who is on the scorers table at YSU and a noted longtime coach in the area, and I know a friend of yours. Mm-hmm. Jim Morrison, who has been in the athletic department at YSU for about 200 or 300 years. He's been around a long time. Jim's a good guy. Rob Schmidt, who spoke to us yesterday, is going to be inducted in the media. And Doug Kaburski, the bowling coach, who, like I said, is on the precipice of potentially winning national championship in bowling. So those are the YSU people. And then we've got John Butera for sports media, Roland Cummings for boxing, Jimmy Vivo for football. Jim was a quarterback at Cheney, I believe, and then a longtime coach. And I played softball with Jim, so I've got a couple stories I could drop on him if he does anything wrong. Mike Pavlansky, Canfield football coach, legendary
state champion, one
of the greatest guys you'll ever meet. Anthony Kangemi for football. Timmy Gleason for contribution to sports. He was a president of the Ohio Athletic Conference. And Bob Jenkins for track and field. So it's a good group of inductees, and we're really looking forward to that. We're expecting a good crowd, so please get your tickets. It's Sunday, May 4th at Mr. Anthony's. Doors open at 4. Dinner starts at 4:45. Program starts at 6 p.m.
And if you think it's going to be a long night, it typically has. It's perfectly timed. Last year was awesome. You tried to keep everybody 2 to 3 minutes. I think the longest we got was like 4 or 5.
Yes.
But this isn't a NFL enshrinement, so to speak, where they just let people go and talk. Try to be concise. That's the biggest thing you guys try to put across. Because there's plenty of time to talk after. If you want to go approach the person or have an interview after, there's plenty of time for that. But some people in these moments can get very long-winded and try to thank everybody, which is impossible.
It is.
But, you guys do a great job of keeping everybody on task and on time.
Well, and the other thing, too, is alluding to something you just mentioned earlier, Greg Pruitt will stay after and sign autographs and talk to people and stuff like that. But, yeah, we get the connotation that we're a long-winded banquet, and we're really not. Like last year we were done before 8 o'clock, so that's less than 2 hours. You got 12 inductees and a keynote speaker, so it's really it really is fast paced. And like I said, the food is good, and Greg Pruitt will stay and talk to people after. And what are you doing on a Sunday night in May anyway? Come out and honor these people because they deserve it.
You can watch Star Wars later. It's Star Wars Day that day.
Is it?
Yeah, so you can always hit pause for a little bit, come out and to the banquet, eat some good food.
I've never seen a Star Wars in my life.
All right,
so.
this interview's over. That's it. May the 4th be with you.
There you go.
Here at Mr. Anthony's in Boardman. Bob, thank you so much. Wait, one more question
Sure.
for you, since it's kind of a timely question. Not to get into politics, but a very special. I don't know. Would you? Let's just put it this way: Jim Tressel, now the lieutenant governor, as a guy who knows Jim Tressel, my idol. What did you think about that position?
I'll tell you a little interesting story. First of all, that news broke as we were getting ready to start our luncheon yesterday, so it was quite the topic of conversation.
Buzz.
Yeah, a little bit of a buzz. But I, through my good friend Paul McFadden, I've tried to get Tressel to maybe come and talk at one of our luncheons because he's done so several times in the past. And, even though he's not technically involved with YSU or sports anymore, you could listen to that guy talk all day. I mean, he's tremendous. But he told Paul, he says, yeah, tell Bob that I can't commit to that right now because my schedule's pretty busy. And I'm wondering if he knew that this was upcoming, that he's going to be Attorney General. And listen, for the people in this valley, and especially for Youngstown State, you can't have anybody better representing you in an important office than Jim Tressel. He'll do whatever he can to help. Some people ask me if this may be a precursor to him running for governor in a couple of years. I don't think so, but this is something that will be real interesting to see how it plays out because he's the best. He just is.
I mean, when you look at Coach Tressel's resume, it's not said and done yet, but when you someday we'll look back and we'll say, wow, look at that life lived.
Absolutely. I mean, he's done, president of university, a national championship football coach on 2 levels. He's written books.
He's been in the pros.
Other than that, he's done nothing. So, he's the best. He just is.
We're so proud of him. Thank you, Jim Tressel, Coach Tressel, President Tressel, whichever, and now Lieutenant Governor Tressel. Bob, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you as always.
Thank you very much for having me, and get to that banquet.
You got it. We'll see you next time on Catching the Curve right here on YSN. Always a good interview with Bob Camardo. He's so knowledgeable when it comes to this area and sports especially. But, we could we got a little bit of a left jab there too with Coach Tressel and now Lieutenant Governor Tressel. What a great thing for this area. If Youngstown isn't able to, I don't want to say cash in, that's not the right word, especially in today's climate. But if Youngstown isn't able to bounce back on the map under his leadership where he is, then we're never going to be able to do it. So,
we're in trouble. If we can't do it with him there, then we're in trouble.
It's always good to have one of your guys, right? Your people at the top of the mountain and fighting for you in some of those rooms. And Jim Tressel certainly has always fought for this region, Akron, Youngstown, East Palestine, even. So again, my hero forever, Jim Tressel. So thank you, Coach Tress, and we appreciate you so much. And we have, you are in the midst of quite the media tour.
Yeah, I've been talking to a lot of people over the last couple of days, and biggest one being the Boardman swim team that advanced to districts. They'll go to Cleveland State over the weekend. I've talked to 7 swimmers over the last 2 days, boys and girls on both sides, and had a great time talking with them. And I know that they have great leadership. And I talked to a handful of seniors and a couple of underclassmen as well. And it was really fun to kind of get a glimpse of what the personality of their swim team is and how successful they've been. And I can't wait to see what they do at Cleveland State over the weekend. I know a couple of them are going for back-to-back trips to state. So best of luck to Boardman out there. And I hope that you get right back to state after this weekend is over.
And then we have an interview tomorrow, a taped interview around 1:30 with CeCe Foster, the lone senior at South Range. Wasn't able to make the live show, which is fine. That's what you and I are. That's why we do this.
Right.
But we're excited to have that. And then I have an interview with 3 of the Barron Cup champion Orange Lions coming up that I'm really excited about. Only one senior on the squad, the goalie, and then Russell Ty, who is one of the best football players on our network, arguably the best hockey player on the network as well. And that's supposed to be his sport. So I'm excited to talk to the Orange Lions and put some questions to the ice for them, see if they can slap them home. And then at some point we got to interview Tim Porter, because that's been one that's been a long time coming. So we'll try to get that knocked out too. And as always, folks, I know we don't say this near enough. If you want to be interviewed, if you want to be on YSN Live or YSN in general, please reach out to us. We'd love to schedule that interview, as long as you can give us a little bit of background that we maybe don't already have, to come up with some good questions and put you on this platform that we love so much here at YSN. Anthony, I know you love doing these interviews as much as I do. They are so much fun. Interview coaches, players, as well as community members, people that really dig into communities and make sports a better place and a more exciting place for everybody, and why it means so much in each community. We want to highlight those people.
Yeah, we put in, and Ty Bartel, too, I want to give him a shout out. He does plenty of interviews. We put in a lot of work to make sure that as many athletes and coaches are highlighted on YSN, that they get the chance to tell their story, because that's one of the pillars, I think, of YSN, and what makes YSN, as strong as it is that we're able to not just show up at a game, close the laptop, and then leave. Like, we kind of are able to share the stories and share the spotlight with some of these athletes and let them kind of share their journey and what's meant the most to them over their course of their career. And it's really just a pleasure. Every time I get to talk to, whether it's a coach or a player, I consider myself kind of grateful.
Yeah, and we're more than just scores too, and that's right. The biggest thing. We're not just going to show up and say we're covering you and give a score. We want to dig in a little, and we want to go a mile deep with some of these, a lot of any of these teams that want to be part of YSN. Certainly, we want to highlight the players and profile them, and naturally do coaches corners and do some other fun things along the way. Some of these shows that we do during the fall, and I did one this winter. Probably never going to do the winter ones again, just to be completely transparent. They're so challenging with schedules to do it, but this is the alternate. This is getting on at noon or getting taped, during the evenings or during the weekends. Anthony doesn't sleep ever. So it's one of those things where finding a spot or finding the right interviewer for you is not hard. We've got, 3 or 4 guys to choose from. And I think each of them do a pretty good job, myself excluded, of course. I'm not tooting my own horn, Anthony. Promise you I'm not doing that. But the reason we do what we do, well, it's because of the stuff like tonight. We've got games on the network tonight for you, and they are as follows. Conneaut at Ashtabula St. John. Tim Torres will have that game for you. Also, Steve Hodge will have the Springfield at Western Reserve game live at 7 p.m. You, my friend, are breaking ground in Lordstown, the first ever Lordstown broadcast for YSN, Pymatuning Valley at Lordstown, and we will have pictures as well, as I understand, with Gary Leininger.
Gary Leininger was coming with me. He'll have pictures of the game, and it's a 5:30 start, so make sure you get an appetizer for the 7 o'clock games that are coming on after it.
A little early night for you, so that's nice. We also have a Wood County Christian at Heartland Christian. Dominic Pearson going to be doing that one, and I believe Wood County Christian is like 3 hours away.
Yeah, it's an OVAC game. It was supposed to be played on Tuesday. I think they bumped it to Thursday for whatever reason. But yeah, I think that's an OVAC like a tournament game.
Very cool. I mean, I'm sure that some of those parents or some of those fans are going to be happy that it's on, regardless, because they can't make that trip. And we have some wrestling on the network tonight. Austintown Fitch at Louisville. Rob Johnson, the voice of the Leopards, will have all that for you. That begins at 7 p.m. as well. And then we've got a full slate tomorrow. and a full slate on Saturday. And just a reminder for those that are wondering about tournament, Anthony, for everybody out there, if you want your tournament game covered for softball, baseball, basketball, wrestling, anything but football,
Anything not named football.
you need to have it sponsored. You have to. I mean, it's $200. That's what it is per game. We are trying to absorb those fees that we get by the OHSAA. If we don't get a sponsor, the game will not be covered from a streaming standpoint. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be covered from a story, interview, score, all that stuff. So just so we're all on the same page here, we're reiterating, because I know we're going to get nasty calls and things of that nature. Why do you do it all year and then don't do the play?
Honestly, we could probably say it like 500 times on this show. We're still going to get the calls. So,
and listen, I love talking to you people. Anthony loves talking to all of you. We do appreciate it, but not in such a way of, why isn't my game on? Like, we've been saying it over and over and over and over and over. And there's graphics out there as well. So check those out. And if you want to be part of getting involved in getting a sponsorship, whether it's on just one game, whether it's one of our corporate sponsors through the entire year, we invite you to do so as well. Do you want to do also, hey, by the way, while we're talking about sponsors, Toyota of Warren, appreciate you. Appreciate you, Tino, and your whole crew out there. Jim Wilson, appreciate you. And there's so many more that I know, but I don't want to. I mean, I could. Should we just read the list of people that we know at Toyota of Warren one day and just write down it?
This is our reader for Toyota of Warren. Forget the commercial.
It is time for the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by Joe Dickey Electric. They are everything electrical, and you can visit them on the web 24/7, 365 at DickeyElectric.com. Mouse got stuck. Sorry about that. It's the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark? Anthony, what's your spark today?
My spark is that I get the chance to go to a new gym and a new community tonight. There aren't too many opportunities for me to get to a new place anymore. I've been to almost everywhere YSN covers. So to be able to break ground at Lordstown and welcome in the YSN family and give them a broadcast tonight as they welcome in Time and Tuning Valley, another team that I don't get to see a whole lot. I'm really excited tonight to be able to meet the community members down there and to meet the AD and meet the coaches. And I'm really excited to break ground, as you say, at Lordstown.
Bobby Marino, the best out there in Lordstown. Such a great guy. Huge
what a last
supporter.
name to have, man.
Yeah, big supporter of what we do.
Legend.
And guy that has been around and done nearly everything, gets it, just gets it. And he loves what we do at YSN. So I'm sure you'll have a great conversation with Mr. Marino out there. And yeah, welcome Lordstown. We appreciate you, the official welcoming committee right here. Anthony and your mom, I'm assuming, going to be out there, and Gary Leininger. So amazing that you get Anthony tonight. And my spark is going to be, this mouse is really starting to get to me, buddy. Like 3 times during that Todd Johnson interview, it just died. So you had to do like the hard reset on the back of it. I don't know if the battery's dying or what, but like all I'm thinking the entire time is, how am I going to get Todd Johnson off the screen so we can ask questions without being like, hey, Anthony, my mouse died. Can you take over controls? So yeah, thanks. Signals. You're going to see me throw this thing live and on the air. I'm pretty sure in the next couple days, right off of that wall. That's the way it's going to happen. So I feel the tech problems that everybody always talks about. And being a tech company, we deal with it a lot.
It happens. We
have to be professional sometimes. Today's not one of those days. This thing's going to go for a ride. And I'm more excited. On a positive note, my son starts hoops today. What athletics is doing right now is unprecedented. Being able to have like a second season, which is really cool. They finished their season before their basketball season right before Christmas, and now they're doing another basketball season for March, kind of doing a quick March Madness tournament thing. So very cool. I love it. For those of you who don't think I like basketball, you're sadly mistaken. I love basketball, but I've never seen anything like this. To have like a 2-month layoff and then get right back into it. This is cool. This is cool because we've been watching basketball, obviously, because there's football slowed down. So we've been watching a little bit more basketball on TV. He loves it. Now he gets to go live all his dreams of all the people who, I don't know, aren't 5'4" and a half and his dad. So enjoy. Z-Man back in the gym tonight, so I'm excited about that. That, my friend, is going to do it for our show. Great show today. Appreciate you. Thanks for Todd Johnson for stopping by. Thanks to Bob Camardo for stopping by yesterday, doing that tape segment. And then Anthony, or 2 days ago, I should say, doing that tape segment. Yesterday was a wash. I was blind as a bat yesterday. I couldn't say anything. But tomorrow, great show for you. Again, I know we've got some interviews in the can and ready to go. But otherwise, Anthony, have a great night. Enjoy Lordstown, and everybody else, ysnlive.com/live for all your streaming needs right here on your sports network. And guess what, Ant? My mouse is dead, so you're going to have to do the honors and get us out of here. I hate this thing. YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of your sports network. For stories, stats, and more, go to ysnlive.com.